Breaking news in the NFL yesterday, we have a trade between the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos. Let's get into it. So, the Broncos received wide receiver star from the Miami Dolphins, Jaylen Waddle, and a fourth round pick. As for the Dolphins, they get a first round pick in this year's draft, the 30th, a third round pick, and a fourth round pick. Just know this: both sides are getting picks of this year's draft. So, it's not next year, it's not the year after, it's this year's draft. So both teams, the Broncos get a wide receiver star and a fourth round pick. The Dolphins get 3 picks, a first, a third, and a fourth. Now, why did the Broncos make this trade? Well, the Broncos are all in right now. Last year, they were almost making the Super Bowl, but they lost due to the New England Patriots, and they just needed a better wide receiver alongside Sutton and other wide receivers on their staff. And they want to give Bo Nix a proven game breaker deep threat. And as you know, Jaylen Waddle had proven number one option before with 5,000 yards in his career. And the fact that they didn't really think, late in the 30th pick of the first round was going to do a whole lot. They couldn't really find a wide receiver from their, research that would be as impactful as Jaylen Waddle. So they traded picks for an elite, proven weapon, now championship team. Now, as for the Miami Dolphins, the reason why they did this is because they're clearing out all their stars. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, Tua, now Waddle, and they're trying to reset their roster and definitely get multiple, high picks, first rounder, second rounder, third rounder to reset their franchise. And they're trying to rebuild around their young quarterback in Malik Willis. Well, he's not young, I guess you want to say, but he's still young. And also the fact that, Miami had to keep on rebuilding like they have been for the last, I don't know how long they last won the Super Bowl, but here we are now. Now, let's go over, what Waddle brings to the Broncos. So he brings elite game changer, one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, can take any play to the house, force defense to play deep, open everything underneath. And this is the number one reason why the Denver Broncos traded for him, to help the team. Second one, true number one wide receiver for Bo Nix. Broncos didn't have a consistent wide receiver one before. Well, they kind of did with Sutton, but he wasn't as, you could say, consistent. I think it was a little shaky. And now Waddle becomes QB, Bo Nix number one go-to weapon, you want to say. So big upgrade from the offense immediately. Third one, big playability, led the NFL in yards per catch with 18.1 in 2022. Consistent deep threat and explosive play. He doesn't just move chains, he flips games. Number 4, route running and separation. He's known for beating man coverage, getting open quickly, and dominating short and intermediate routes. Perfect timing-based offense. Number 5, complements Courtland Sutton perfectly well. Sutton, big physical receiver, Waddle, speed and separation. Together, complete wide receiver duo, size and speed. And number 6, fit a Super Bowl push. Broncos were already contender. Waddle gives them a more explosive offense, more scoring ability, more help with their quarterback, and this is a win now move. Now, this is his stats from, you want to say this past season and also his career in the NFL. So let's go over his career in the NFL first, and then his stats from this past season. So career, 373 receptions, 5,039 receiving yards, 26 to 27 touchdowns, 3 straight 1,000 yard seasons to start his career. A career average 81 catches, 1,098 yards, 6 touchdowns per season. Now, 2025 season, most recent, 64 catches, 910 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 14.2 yards per catch. Even in struggling Dolphins offense, he was still able to be productive. Now, as for his contract, as you guys know, the Dolphins didn't want to take on his contract, and now the Broncos are taking on it. So this is his contract. Total deal, 3-year, $84.75 million. Average salary, $28.25 per year. Guaranteed money, about $36 million. Contract runs through 2028. this is a top tier wide receiver contract, paid like a number one wide receiver. So the Broncos are taking on this contract, and it's this. So cap hit about $4.9 million for Denver. Dolphins are eating a big chunk of that money, and that's why the trade is so dangerous. Denver gets a star for cheap right now. Now the actual money for 2026, around $17.2 million cash paid. Cap hit normally hits around 11.6, but reduced due to trade structure. Now, future year, this is catch. 2027 cap hit, 33 to 34 million, and 2028 cap hit, also very high, 30 mil plus. This contract gets expensive really fast. So the Broncos 2026 steal cheap elite wide receiver, but then 2027 and 2028 very expensive. So restructure the deal or push money into future years. So the Dolphins are going to be paying for the 2026, but then the Broncos are going to be paying for the other 2 years. So the Dolphins took a huge dead cap hit to rebuild, dumped a big long-term contract. So yes, the Dolphins have to pay this year contract to the Broncos, but then the next 2 years, the Dolphins are not going to have to do it. The Broncos will have to pay for it. So this year is like, we got this. But the next 2 years, gotta pay a lot for the Broncos. And as for the Dolphins, we have to pay a lot right now. But 2 years, we good. Yeah. It's interesting how the NFL works when it comes to trades. But yeah, pretty much the Broncos get a star wide receiver finally next to Courtland Sutton, and Bo Nix another weapon, because as you guys know, Bo Nix didn't really have another weapon next to him. You had, what's his name, Patrick, whatever his name is, or other wide receivers, but they're not like top tier wide receivers. They're more like from 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. They're more like a 4-ish range, sometimes 3 they can try to be, and it's not that good for a team who's trying to win a Super Bowl. You need another wide receiver. That's definitely be your number 1 or number 2 option. And Waddle clearly shows he could be the number 1 option for the Broncos. Some people are going to argue he might be number 2 next to Courtland, but the fact that he has a better track record throughout his career than Sutton shows that he's going to be a number 1 wide receiver for the Broncos, which that's what they need really bad, especially the fact that they need a deep threat wide receiver. The Broncos try that with other wide receivers on their roster, but it just doesn't work out. For Waddle, it's perfect. Opens his field up more, can do more things for the quarterback, don't have to rely on the same outlook of how you throw the ball. You throw to Waddle deep, you're set. And then if Waddle gets double coverage or whatever, you have Sutton open. And then both of them are, not available. You have your tight end, you have your other wide receiver. So they have a lot to play with now compared to before. Dolphins, as you guys know, they're just trying to rebuild now. They got rid of everyone. This could be pretty interesting in Miami. I know a lot of Miami fans will be mad because, come on. We had Tyreek, we had Waddle, we had Tua. We had a pretty good, decent defense at one point. Now, all this is gone, and we have to reset this whole roster. So, yeah, we just have to see what happens in Miami. They're definitely going to be one of the lower teams in that division. I think they might be one of the worst. Yeah, one of the worst. I feel like maybe bottom of the barrel. The Jets, you would think so, but I think the Jets have a little bit better. A little. We have something, but not a lot. But my thought on this is that who won this? Who lost this? I think the Denver Broncos won this one because you give up a 30th and you give up a 3rd and a 4th round pick, which the Broncos didn't really need because their team is pretty good. Like, defense is good, offensive line is good, wide receiver is not even good. You have a good tight end, running back is good. Like, you didn't really have to draft anyone. You just needed that one more chip on the offense, and you're in. And it wasn't like you had to give up multiple first round picks. You gave up 1 first round pick late in that draft, and a 3rd and a 4th, which you don't know how that's going to plan out. And on top of that, you kind of technically only gave up 2 picks because you get a 4th round pick back. Yeah, I mean, you technically gave it 2 picks for Waddle. That's pretty good. And you have 2 more years after this year with him, I think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Or 1 more year. Or 2 more years. But that's really good for a wide receiver who does this good since he came into the league. As for the Dolphins, you could have gotten a little bit better. You could have definitely gotten like 2 first-round picks if that's the case, and maybe like a 3rd or a 4th on top of it. But a 1st, a 3rd, and a 4th for a guy who's pretty good. And it's not good. It's not good. I feel like the Dolphins, you guys should have definitely traded away Tyreek Hill when you did, because now you got nothing. But at least you get some picks back or something. And yeah, I'm happy to see Waddle on a winning team now. No offense to Miami, but the Dolphins have been doing well for a long time. They made one playoff the last couple of years, and before that, it's been a long time. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. Like I said, Broncos won this trade, Dolphins lost this trade, and I can't wait to see Waddle in a Denver Broncos jersey. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.